Alright, back now for another training log, and I figure it's been a few weeks since I've actually uploaded a video now, so I needed to get on and do an update. It's been probably not the best few weeks of training, in all honesty. I mean, it started out pretty good, but we kind of went off track pretty hard, and I'll go into why I haven't uploaded any videos for the last couple of weeks here. But look, straight from where I left off, we had some really good training. I had a 25-hour week. We did 430k on the bike. You know, a lot of that's on Zwift, so let's just call it 13 hours on the bike. What else do we have? 19 kilometers in the pool and 90 kilometers of running. So good volume. And I actually remember specifically saying to my coach at the end of that week, like, look, I'm really happy with this week of training because it just felt comfortable hitting those numbers. And I felt like that's a volume, or that's like, you know, a week that I could maintain all the way up to Ironman, really. And I felt really confident off the back of that. You know, if I can put together a few of these weeks in, you know, tight succession, that's where I'm going to get some really good fitness improvements. And yeah, I was feeling really strong heading into Ironman Australia. But we weren't able to maintain that kind of volume, and that's what I'm going to go into in this video, basically. So the week after that, look, I knew it was going to be a rough week because I had some travel days planned. I had to fly up to Brisbane for work for 2 nights, so I was out of action for those few days in that week. But look, let's just run through the week and I'll show you exactly how it went play by play. So straight off the 25-hour week, Monday morning, we just had a 4.2 kilometer swim. So I like to always do a good aerobic swim on a Monday morning just to kind of absorb the volume of the last week. So I don't really take Monday is an easy day, but I don't really have days off. I just have a day on a Monday where I'll do a swim and an easy ride. So 4.2k swim, 8 200s, 2 600s, all aerobic stuff. And then just an hour easy ride in the afternoon. So Tuesday morning, I've got an easy hour on the bike, just 160 watts average. And from there, I actually took my bike in to give it a service because I knew I was going to be traveling over the next couple of days and I wouldn't be able to ride. So dropped my bike off for a service. Tuesday lunch, 2k non-stop swim, just aerobic, averaging 140 per 100. And then, so Tuesday afternoon, what have we got? 4x2k at threshold on the track. So running 4x2k and averaging about 4 minutes per kilometer for those. So a really solid day Tuesday. And look, I knew this week was going to be a bit interrupted because Wednesday and Thursday I was up in Brisbane for work. Back home Friday, and I always feel a bit rusty. And look, I've done a few trips for work now in the past and I've made some videos about it. And look, I always, without doubt, feel pretty rusty when I get back home. I mean, the first time I went up, I tried to do just some crazy stuff. I basically tried to keep training while I was doing all that travel. So I remember the first time I went up, I got up at like 3 a.m. to get in a 90-minute bike ride before my 6 a.m. flight. And then I think that night, after traveling and working a full day, I tried to go for like a long run in Brisbane that afternoon. And by the time I got back home on the Friday, I was completely exhausted and wasn't able to train that weekend. So this time when I went up there, I said, look, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to take the 2 days off completely, come back, and I want to be fully rested, ready to go as soon as I get back home. That's what I did. So Friday morning, still a little bit rusty just from taking a couple days off, but not too fatigued. So 4.2k in the pool, nice and cruisy. I wasn't pushing anything too hard. I'll put the setup for you so you can see it, but I sort of just wanted this to be like a reintroduction to training, nothing too intense. And then we had just a bike ride on Friday afternoon, 90 minutes. So this is a cool one. My coach actually just created this workout. So it's 8 minutes at Ironman power. Then you do 2 minutes at threshold or LT2, 2 minutes at Ironman power again, and then 2 more minutes at threshold. Quick recovery, and you go through that 4 times. So some good exposure to Ironman power, and then, you know, filling your legs up with some lactate, and then trying to drop it back to that 2 minutes at Ironman power and really just deal with it, I guess. So you're trying to process lactate while you're at Ironman power. Especially good for Port Macquarie because it is a pretty hilly course that I'm going to be racing on. And then Friday afternoon, I actually got invited to go on a training camp weekend. So shot up to Port Macquarie for a couple of days and we got out some good experience on the race course, which was really good. So for, what have we got? Saturday morning, 5 hours on the course. So 150 kilometers, just averaging about 200 watts. And I wasn't doing anything specific here. It's just scoping the course out. And I will, in another video, go through the course in depth and we'll actually have like a real breakdown of it for everyone that's going to be there. But I mean, my short summary of it is, look, it's just the new section of the Ironman Australia course has a lot of rolling hills, but they're not super steep. So if you compare it to last year, it's got pretty similar elevation, but instead of it having a lot of steep climbs, there's a lot more, there's more frequency of rolling hills rather than the infrequent steep hills that you had on the last year's course. So I think For me, it's probably going to be slightly slower for me because I'm not the best bike handler. Like, I just don't ride outdoors enough to really maintain enough speed through those rolling sections. But if you are good on the bike, you can maintain a lot of speed through that section. And I think that's going to make it for a marginally faster course, but probably pretty similar. The roads are slightly smoother, but they're just normal Australian country roads. If you've ever ridden on a normal country road, there's nothing fancy about this one. It is smoother than last year, but it's not like real hot mix smooth stuff. It's just typical country roads. They're still pretty bumpy. So yeah, straight off the bike, after those 5 hours, we had a 50-minute run off. Doing this one at a pretty solid pace, actually, 4 minutes 25 per kilometre. I was running with some guys that are just honestly just better triathletes than I am, so that's always good to push me along. And then Saturday afternoon, just to finish out a pretty long day, we had 10 400s, all aerobic, averaging 142 per 100. So just doing those on, I suppose, maybe like 8 minutes, basically, just plenty of rest and a nice easy way to finish out the day. Sunday morning, up early on the course, 33 kilometers at 5 minutes and 5 seconds per kilometer. So just a good solid aerobic base builder for the run. And that takes out, I mean, it's a pretty solid week. If I look at the totals, we still got 18 hours of training in, considering the fact that I had to take 2 days off. So that's 18 hours of training over only 5 days. It's not too bad. 14.5 kilometers in the pool, 272 on the bike, and 65 kilometers of running. So it wasn't a terrible week of training, and it's all I could really manage considering I was away for a couple days. So not too bad, and I was pretty happy to have at least bounced back after the travel days, and I wasn't, in a hole for the days after that. So it's always good. Into the next week, and okay, so this is where things really went off the rails. It started out pretty strong. Monday morning, 4.3 kilometer swim. This one here, we just had 1 hour aerobic of non-stop swimming. So I got out 3.5 kilometers at 143 per 100, and yeah, it took us to a 4.3 kilometer total swim, and it's just a good 1 hour non-stop aerobic swim. That's all it really was, with a 400 warm up and a 400 cool down. I mean, I say warm up and cool down, but look, the whole thing was at like warm up and cool down pace anyway. So pretty comfortable swim. Easy ride that afternoon. So just again, like I said at the start of the video, Mondays is just all about some good aerobic stuff in the pool just to absorb the volume, and a quick easy spin in the afternoon. Tuesday morning, we just had a 3K swim with the first 1K in a wetsuit, averaging about 132 per 100. So just trying to get some exposure now because we're getting a bit closer to the race, some exposure in a wetsuit. It does feel slightly different when you swim in that, so I just want to make sure that my shoulders have enough endurance, I suppose, to swim a full 3.8 kilometers in a wetsuit. And then after that, we just had 3 by 15 minutes it was targeting 230 watts, but erg mode wasn't on, so it was a little bit above, a little bit below for those. Lactate was coming in at about 2.4 millimoles, so just above Ironman power for those. And then Tuesday afternoon, a track session, so 16.5 kilometers total. We had 2K, 2K, and 4K at threshold. So around about 4 minutes per kilometer is what my threshold is when I'm running. Wednesday morning, and this is the point where things really started to go downhill. So Tuesday, basically Tuesday afternoon, roommate comes home and she's got pretty bad stomach flu. Wednesday morning, get out. So it's a 3.8K swim is what I do. I think it was planned as 4.5 to 5 kilometers. I do the first K in a wetsuit, same as the day before, average the same pace as the day before, 132 per 100, so it's like 15:20, I think is my time there for that 1K. Then I go into, I think what was planned was 30 by 100, leaving on about 140. Go into that, but as soon as I take the wetsuit off after that 1K non-stop, I think that was pretty good, 15:20, nice comfortable aerobic swim, and I'm averaging almost about 130 per 100, which is going to be roughly goal Ironman pace in the swim. So pretty happy there, but as soon as I took my wetsuit off, I thought, holy crap, I feel like I've just swam 4 kilometers threshold. I was pretty exhausted, but I thought maybe it's just the wetsuit or something was going on there, so I'd take the wetsuit off, jump back in the pool and get into the 100s. And I start out, perceived effort wasn't very good, but I figured, okay, maybe I can just swim through this. And then after about 10, I think my pace dropped from low 130s to like 136 to 137. I start leaving on 145s, then I start leaving on 150s, 155s. All of a sudden I'm leaving every 2 minutes and it feels like I'm swimming at threshold. And I get out of the water after 3.8K and say, look, that's it, I'm done. I'm really exhausted, and I have absolutely no idea why. It doesn't feel like I've done anything crazy over the last couple of days, but energy levels were through the floor. I just had nothing to give. Walk back home, try and eat something, and that doesn't go well. And look, long story short, over the next couple of hours, it becomes pretty apparent that I've got a pretty bad stomach flu. I can't eat anything, can't keep anything down. And look, I won't go into the details, but things weren't good in my stomach. So that was a pretty rough day. And look, basically, Wednesday, didn't eat anything. Thursday, I probably had less than 2 slices of bread. Friday, I was in bed almost all day. Saturday, I start to come good, but I mean, we were up in Port Macquarie and I was like, okay, great, I've had this one planned. I'll be up in Port Macquarie, ride on the course again, get some more good workouts done, really specific stuff, but didn't even bother taking my bike up because Friday I could hardly get out of bed. Saturday, I was all right. I was able to get up and walk around, but we went down to the local markets, and I think after one lap, I needed to sit down and have a rest because I was literally that exhausted. I mean, keep in mind here that on Saturday, I've probably over the last 2 to 3 days eaten less than I would normally eat in one meal total over the last few days. So I was pretty well exhausted here. And Saturday's the day where I started to be able to eat some food again, but I still was probably eating 20 to 30% of the total calories I would previously eat just on a normal week. Obviously I wasn't training at this stage, but look, I still could barely eat anything and it wasn't really staying down too well. Sunday, food gets reintroduced a little bit, but not the most comfortable experience. Monday, so that's yesterday, I'm recording this on Tuesday at the moment, is the first day where I'm actually able to start eating again. And I managed to get out yesterday just 90 minutes easy on the bike. So Monday was probably eating 60 to 70% of like the total calories I would previously eat. And then Tuesday today, so far so good. Honestly, this morning I got up just an hour moderate on the bike, and I think I'll be able to get out a full typical day of training today. I've had a good breakfast, a good morning tea. I'm probably eating 85 to 90% of what I would typically eat at the moment and feeling pretty comfortable. So that has been Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, half of Monday where I really couldn't eat anything like I would normally eat. And I'm pretty big on, there's the classic OLAV mantra, which is there's no power, there's no speed without power, there's no power without calories. And look, if I wasn't eating anything, I wasn't even gonna try and train. So, I mean, Thursday I did do a pretty easy ride, but it was just 30 minutes to try and get some blood flowing. I thought maybe that'd make me feel better. It did not. And I wasn't going to even attempt to reintroduce training after that until I could get, a good solid meal or two in. And now that I'm starting to eat again, I'll start to reintroduce some training. But I mean, I have lost 4 kilos in the last few days. So that's been a pretty wild adventure. And yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating, honestly, because I ended that 25-hour week and I was like, great, this is awesome. I'm going straight into some more good, consistent training here. I think I was 5 or 6 weeks out from Ironman at that time. And I just thought, okay, sweet. If I can string together another 4 weeks or 5 weeks of this training, I'm going to be in really, really good shape come Ironman Australia. And so when I was right at the point in my training, leading into my main race at the moment, Ironman Australia, where I really wanted to be hitting that good training, and now is the time where I have these setbacks. That's a bit annoying. But honestly, I think I'm still pretty confident I will be able to make a fairly good comeback once I can get back to some solid training. And the thing is, it's not like I'm putting together a 16-week training block into Ironman Australia. I mean, I really haven't stopped training since last year's Ironman Australia. And I think because I've got a pretty solid base now of over a year I've been training for triathlons and Ironman, and I haven't really taken a lot of time off in that period. So I think I will be able to bounce back quite quickly, or at least I'm quite confident. And, at the end of the day, I'm in Australia. Even if I had the best possible prep, I'll be honest, I don't think this is going to be the race where I go sub 9. I just don't think I'm quite there fitness-wise. It's a relatively hard course, but look, at the end of the day, I just don't think I'm quite fit enough to especially ride under 5 hours. I think that's asking too much. Might be able to swim close to that 57-minute mark if I have a good swim. And I hope I'd be able to run around a 3:05 or a 3:10, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to ride under 5 hours. And I think it is a good insight into my mindset here too, in terms of how I approach Ironmans, triathlons, and training in general. And look, it's not so much about doing 1 or 2 races a year and having those as like my peak events. For me, it's more about the training that goes into it. And that's really, I feel like I am racing to justify the training almost. And I'm not saying I don't enjoy races. Races are awesome, they're loads of fun. But the thing I really enjoy with triathlon is figuring out, okay, well, what is it I need to do to get to a 57-minute swim? What do I need to do to ride 5 hours? How am I gonna run below 3 hours after doing all that beforehand? And what training do I need to do week to week, month to month? How am I gonna get myself to the fitness to actually, race at that level? And so for me, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the race, and it's gonna be loads of fun, but I'm also really looking forward to a few weeks after the race when I can get back to training, see exactly what I need to work on, what I need to improve on, and what I need to do to go sub 9 hours. I mean, I'm probably gonna do the Ironman Western Australia at the end of the year in Busselton, which is a pretty fast course. And I mean, I'll be honest, I'd be hoping to go sub 9 hours there. So it's gonna be fun to really try and hone in and figure out, what do I need to do? How am I gonna get my numbers down? And look, hopefully I can go close to a sub 9. Hopefully I can go sub 9 at Port Macquarie. I'm not gonna sit there and not try and go sub 9, but I think if I'm being honest with myself, it's a little bit out of my reach. Now I don't want that to discount the fact that, I'm definitely going to try for a sub 9 hour Ironman. I don't wanna say, oh, I've given up on the goal and that's not what I'm doing anymore. I mean, I've made a pretty solid pledge at the start of this training log series that I am going to give sub 9 a really solid crack. And I'm also not gonna stop after Ironman Australia. It's not one and done. Basically there is nothing important to me in triathlon outside of a sub 9 hour Ironman. I'm not gonna change and go into an Olympic distance phase or a 70.3 phase. None of that matters to me except for going sub 9. That's all this channel is gonna focus on. That's all my training is gonna focus on. That's all these videos are gonna focus on, until I either have repeated failures and it becomes very obvious that I need to pack it in, or I actually go sub 9. That's all it's going to be focused on here. So you can follow this YouTube channel and it is just going to be consistent training. How do I get a sub 9 hour Ironman? And so moving forwards now, over the next couple of days, my main objectives are to start eating some more food, to keep it down, and to build my training back up. Hopefully by the end of the week, I can be at pretty well full load. So full calories and full training by the end of the week. That's my current goal at the moment. And from there, I suppose I'll probably have 2 to 3 more weeks of good solid training leading into Ironman Australia, and I think that will be enough for me to get back on track. Look, I'm not gonna make any excuses. I'm not gonna say, oh, it was a crap race because I had a stomach flu a few weeks before. I think I do have enough time to get back on track. I don't think this is gonna take any time off my race. So yeah, goals at the moment, get back to training, put together another few good weeks, and then put together the best possible race I can. So that's where I'm at. I'll be back next week.